everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing an MLM video, which it's been a little while since I've done one of those, but there is some news and some things going on. So Monate is basically crumbling right now. Some of you might have seen some other creators talking about this already. I know Julie Jo did a video about the same situation. Basically, the leaders are fighting. A lot of people are leaving to join a different MLM, so we're going to get into all of that right now. So the first person I want to talk about today is Sumner. You may recognize her from previous videos. She used to self-identify as a conservative witch. At least when she first joined Monate, she was a witch. Myself and a lot of other creators did cover her at that time. I'll link the video down below. It is quite an older video, but at the time she was going on a lot of rants specifically about the handling of the virus and things like that back in 2020. Since then, she's done kind of a 180 and she is now a very Christian influencer. She was still in Monate up until recently, but her opinions on the whole witch thing definitely shifted. And she's also a crunchy mom because she had a baby, so she's into the whole like crunchy mom content. If you don't know what crunchy mom is, which I know it sounds kind of weird, it's basically a parenting ideology where you only use like the most natural materials and natural foods and things like that for your baby. Some people, that obviously sounds like a good thing, but some people do take it too far. And I know for a while, I think mainly when she was pregnant, she was talking a lot about like raw milk and eating raw liver and stuff like that, which that kind of, it weirdly connects with the whole Christian thing, the crunchy mom thing. There's a lot of overlap between all that. So let me know if you want to see a video about that whole internet space, because it's really interested in me how a lot of very Christian influencers also tend to be the ones who are on like the carnivore diet, the raw milk, like all of that. And this all does tie into Angela, but anyways, she's a crunchy mom. She doesn't like toxins and stuff in her products, and that will relate to why she left Monate. So recently Angela shared that she was actually terminated from Monate. She did not leave of her own free will. However, she does say she was planning to leave regardless. So let's dive into her announcing she was terminated. So I will share the stories on the screen here. I'm gonna speed them up a little bit. I'll read the ones that are important, but this is, I've screen recorded it and it's a 7-minute story, so I'll show you. She wrote, "Oh boy, buckle up." And then she shared a Bible passage and says, "This morning God told me to read Job 31. I've never read Job before, so I was a little confused." And then she writes, "This morning God told me to draft a goodbye email to the company I spent the last 2 years of my life making hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars for. Likely well over $1 million, but I haven't checked to be certain. I felt in my body that the company had lost sight of God and all integrity. I heard firsthand accounts of what my friends had seen and experienced. Demonic, several women told me separately. I told my team I was leaving, but put off sending the email. But then we had a play date with a friend and her daughter. When my friend and her daughter left, I checked my email and I had been terminated. I immediately started bawling. Not because I was surprised, not at all, but because I'm a single mother and it's terrifying to think that my pay is gone just like that. No conversation, no thank you, no acknowledgement, just termination." And that to me, obviously I'm gonna read the whole thing, but that to me is really telling, because this is something anti-MLMers have been saying forever, that you do not own the business. They can let you go at any point in time for really whatever reason, and this is just clear proof of that. And like she said, she was crying because her income was gone, and I can only imagine, even not as a single mom, but I can only imagine as a single mom how stressful and scary that is and what a situation that would be. But this is why anti-MLMers are always saying you don't own the business, because if you own the business, you would not be terminated. You're terminated because you work for a company who can choose to let you go. And the other thing that I'm interested in that I wish she kind of touched on a little bit more, I haven't seen her touch on it, is she said the company lost all sight of God, but I want to know, like, what does that look like in comparison to how the company was functioning before, or what changed to make her feel like it was demonic now. And she also shared a message she got from someone who was using Monate who stopped and randomly just felt like they shouldn't be using it anymore, and she said you can feel and see when something shifts. And here's where she gets into kind of a little bit more about why she was leaving. "I had a lot of questions about the ingredients, new allergic reactions being reported, synthetic fragrances when we had been told they were all plant-based, and I was hushed in the leaders chat. One multi-milli earner said blah blah blah, who cares? To which I replied," and this is a message that she sent in the chat, "Most of my audience and market partners are super low tox. I've built my brand for over a decade on no toxic chemicals, so synthetic fragrances are a huge deal to me. I would not put that on my body or promote it because they're hormone disruptors and carcinogens, so it's a genuine concern. I'm not going to poo-poo someone's concern that is valid just because I don't like how someone is sharing their concerns. Leaders don't silence other leaders, and all my girls are leaders." And I have to say, I do give her props for this, because it does take some semblance of courage to stand up to other people who are in the business, especially maybe people who are above you in the business. And when it is like your livelihood and your income, the way that they act when you have any sort of concern is really difficult to navigate. So I will say I definitely give her props. Obviously, I'm not Angela's biggest fan, but I will say that her standing up for the concerns of herself and her teammates and people who use the products is a good thing. And I will say, of anyone who's going to stand up for anything, I'm not surprised that it's Angela, just because she is very outspoken. But I'm glad that she wasn't okay with them just hushing the concerns, because those are valid questions to be asking for sure. And apparently the leader in this chat did delete her comments, which to me seems really shady, because clearly she did not want to be seen saying blah blah who cares about the valid concerns. So yeah, that's sketchy. And then right after this, after all those stories, she announces her departure from Monat and her joining a new MLM called Oliveda, or Olive Tree People, which I just have to say, Olive Tree People literally sounds like a cult name. Like, that's just my opinion. It sounds like a cult. And then she keeps sharing people's stories saying that they had bad experiences and that their hair was getting a lot worse, or having hair loss and issues from the products. And she's saying like that she didn't know, which I think that's valid. She probably didn't. And people just saying that it's so weird because they canceled their Monat today.
Guys, I have so many messages in my inbox. I have so many questions. I'm feeling so many things. I laid in bed with my daughter as she was napping, and I just bawled my eyes out because I'm a single mom, and to have worked for a company and like poured my heart and soul into that company, and to be completely thrown out like trash, it just proves what I already knew was true about it, period. I feel relief. I think overall, like, the feeling that I feel is gratitude and relief to have already known about all of this. I already knew all of this was going to happen. I was prepared, and we're going to go outside and play, but I'm going to post my quiz if you guys want to look at this skincare. If you want to look at completely non-toxic, all organic, all non-GMO, all olive leaf extract, okay? Complete bioactive anti-aging skincare, 40 years old. I'll post my quiz. And when you order 2 products, you get a full-size product for free, and I'm happy to do recommendations, but right now I'm going to go outside.
So yeah, she continues on about the Olive Tree People products, that she's getting paid more, etc. and so on. She even said that her Monat car that she was driving got hit, and as soon as that happened, she knew that that was a sign that Monat was over. And she does say that she feels a lot of relief about leaving, which I can understand, because when something stops feeling fun and enjoyable, it definitely is a relief to leave. But from what I have gathered, it seems like she was part of the Olive Tree People thing for at least the last few months, if not even possibly all the way back to like September, October of last year. And it is against Monat's terms of service, just like all MLMs, to be in another MLM, especially one that sells competing products like skincare and supplements, etc. For her to be like, oh my god, it's a sign from God that I was terminated. For her to be like, wow, this is a sign from God that I was terminated. I don't know if that's necessarily true, because it seems like she pretty well knew she would get terminated by actively going against their terms of service that she agreed to when signing up. Of course, she doesn't address that though, because that wouldn't really fit the narrative. But that's just my opinion. And she does bring up master resale rights, which I have a video about that. If you want to learn more, it is down below. There was also another Monat leader named Stelle, who was also let go from Monat around the same time. And she made an Instagram post, which I will read here, about being let go from Monat. So it says, my termination from Monat Global. I have been inundated with questions about my departure from Monat lately. It's not an easy subject to broach, but I feel compelled to share my truth. My journey with Monat has been a profound one, filled with blessings, friendships, and growth. However, recent events have led me down a path I never anticipated. Let me be clear, this wasn't a decision I made willingly. HQ's choice to terminate my involvement stemmed from my affiliation with another company in the network marketing space, a violation of Monat's policies. Yet, despite this being a decision forced upon me, I firmly believe in God guiding our steps. 7 years ago, Monat presented itself to me as an opportunity, one that brought not only financial stability, but also a sense of purpose. It was a leap of faith, one I took wholeheartedly. Already at the first slide, this is really interesting, because she goes on about how this isn't a choice I made willingly and their choice to terminate me, but it's like, of course they terminated you. You said yourself what you did wrong. You were in another MLM. That is against their policies. It's just wild to me how they break the rules of a company they don't own, even though they think they're business owners, and then get surprised when there is a repercussion. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter how much money you make for these companies. They don't want you in another company. So if you do that, you will get fired. And that's basically what happens. So the shock and surprise about that, I do find a little bit ridiculous. but I'll keep reading. I have been praying about my position at Monate for several months now, battling with my heart, mind, and truthfully the Holy Spirit, resisting the calling that maybe my future in this industry was not with Monate. I firmly rejected, despite my questions and concerns regarding product formulations, leadership changes, and a compensation plan adjustment. Although my pay was declining month over month, we kept hearing from HQ that the company was doing better than ever and to lean in and work harder. Despite my uneasiness surrounding those sentiments, the thought of no longer working with my team who trusted me when they said yes to this business made me feel sick. Truly. What would they think? How would they feel? These are questions I sat on and prayed about. The women who joined me in this journey weren't just business partners, they were family, and it's for them and for their trust in me that I've agonized over this decision for months. I've poured my heart and soul into being a leader, a mentor, someone they could rely on, but ultimately I had to confront the harsh reality. My belief in Monate's mission was wavering. It's so culty for them to see their pay declining and be like, yo, what's up with this? And Monate to be like, just work harder. Even though they clearly did know how to work the business in that sense if they were making good money before, and every month it's getting worse and worse and worse. But of course, there would never be any addressing that. It's always, well, you're not working hard enough, you're not doing good enough, you're not giving it your all. But yet they're sold this business as something they can do in their free time, in little pockets of time throughout their day, that they have time freedom and don't need to work that hard. I also find it interesting that she says that she's agonized over this decision, but yet the first slide says it wasn't a decision she made for herself. Anyway, I've always been passionate about promoting products that prioritize health and wellness. That's why I initially joined Monate, to offer a clean alternative to mainstream formulations. But witnessing compromises in ingredient quality and seeing the decline in our compensation plan left me torn. Could I continue to endorse a brand I no longer fully believed in? The answer became clear. I couldn't. And now, as I reflect on my time with Monate, I can't help but feel a sense of disappointment. Disappointment not just in the company's trajectory, but in the way my departure was handled. Disappointment in how my leadership is conducting themselves after I trusted them and was honest to a fault with how I felt. Let me set the record straight, as my previous upline has continued to demonize me to my organization, so I am forced to defend my integrity in the face of baseless lies and accusations. I realize people are going to make assumptions about my departure that may be led by rumors or gossip, but for those of you who know me, you know I've worked relentlessly to be a leader and a friend to the woman who inspired me to join this company, as well as women who were not a part of my organization at all. Oh my god, this is such a mouthful. But again, it's interesting that she says in the face of baseless lies and accusations, but it seems to me like she was let go because of her involvement with another company, and she was involved with another company. So I don't know if people were saying more than that or what, but it seems pretty black and white to me. Okay. I'm not a perfect person, but my shortcomings are not for lack of love and trying, but rather from confronting the battle between my head, heart, and where God was leading me. So I ask that even if you don't understand, you extend grace, because my heart was and is in the right place. I want to lead women to the best possible products and opportunity, and when I felt that was no longer Monate, it proposed a question I didn't feel ready for. Beyond my own personal financial risk in starting over, it also presented the risk of losing loved ones. With all that being said, that seems so dramatic. With all that being said, I have nothing but positive things to say about the experience at Monate for many years. I can no longer in truth say I support the product and business opportunity, but I do support ladies who are still partners and always will to the best of my ability while doing my best to support my family. God is faithful, and he keeps reminding me he takes us from glory to glory, and I should not fear. So I'm standing here in faithfulness, gratitude, and hope for the future. Whoa. The landscape of Monate has shifted, and despite my best efforts to navigate it, I found myself at a crossroads. It pains me to say goodbye to a chapter of my life that once brought me so much joy and fulfillment. I reminisce on the sacrifices I made to achieve all the things I did over the last 7 years, and it pains me, but I refuse to let fear dictate my future. I trust in a higher plan, the belief that every closed door leads to new opportunities, so as I step away from Monate, I do so with a heavy heart, but also with a renewed sense of purpose. My journey doesn't end here, it simply takes a different direction, and the road ahead I will walk it with faith, gratitude, and hope. Regarding ingredients. She then goes on to talk about the ingredients changing. So she wrote, regarding ingredients, I hold an important belief that what we apply and consume impacts our overall health and wellness. My confidence in getting involved with Monat was to sell a clean alternative to mainstream formulations. We had a robust no list of ingredients that we would not use in our formulations. So when I began seeing adjustments regarding formulas, the no list becoming the yes list, leaving room for changes to be made, I started asking questions like, why do the USA formulas contain questionable ingredients that our same European counterparts do not? Why is caramel food coloring in our wellness products? Why are we using red 40 linked to developmental disorders? This was something I thought would change under pressure, but it didn't. I thought maybe I would just not promote those products, and that felt like a solution. Although when orders would go through containing those ingredients, I felt a sense of misleading those who trust me since I had promoted this as a clean brand for so long. I knew though that there are women depending on this income, and that was enough for me to navigate my sentiments regarding ingredients every time it would come to mind. So she's basically saying she was sort of justifying it because people relied on the business for their income, but that she also felt guilty with people buying products that she no longer believed in, which is totally fair. But it's interesting to me that she was kicked out and didn't leave. That's one thing I will say between both of them. Both Angela and Haley were debating leaving, in fact signed up for a different company, but didn't actually quit. It makes me wonder if they just wanted both incomes coming through while they could, but I don't know. That's just me speculating. That is not me saying that that's what happened, because I really don't know. The compensation plan changed shortly after navigating these issues. It was an adjustment that sounded like an upgrade, but unfortunately every month the compensation of not just myself but my teammates was in decline, and this was not due to lack of working hard. While my personal income was still remarkable and a blessing, I didn't feel confident I could effectively lead women to the paychecks that they heard boasted about during our conferences, and in order for me to recruit and effectively mentor, my belief in the business had to be there. I felt I fell short as a friend and mentor to my team for many months because I was navigating the potential implications of a decision either way. So again, while this decision was made for me, I firmly believe Jesus opens the door and he closes them. He knows what's best for us even when we don't. I truly believe the best is yet to come, and I have a peace that surpasses all understanding. I know that God closes one door and opens others that lead to something so much greater. I know that he will remove you from tables that the devil is sitting at, and when you get up from that table, people are talking behind your back. I also believe that when you pray the right people, situations, jobs into your life, the wrong ones will exit. I do not know what the future holds for me and my family, but I have faith in Jesus Christ, and that is all I need. I'm thankful for his protection, his provision, and redemption. His plans are always better. With much love, Haley Turner. I'm excited to have found something that I fully align with ethically, morally, spiritually. Stay tuned for my next chapter. Thank you, Jesus. And as no surprise, her next chapter is Oliveda, aka Olive Tree People. I don't know what the proper name is for that one, but same one as Angela. One thing I will say is everything that they're saying, a lot of it is stuff that Andy MLMers have been saying for so long, that you don't own the business, which means you have no control over the ingredients or them changing. You have no control over the compensation plan or how it changes and therefore gets worse. And you have no control over being fired or not, which are all things we've talked about many times before, and how these companies are not as dependable as what you would want to think when you're in them. And also, again, like I said before, it seems very culty to see the compensation plan change. You're told that it's changing and you start making way less money because of that change, but instead of that being addressed or looked into, you're just told you're not working hard enough, even though they've literally told you they're changing the compensation plan. Like, it doesn't take a genius to figure out if the compensation plan changes and all of a sudden your pay is down, the changes are responsible for the pay being down. And now Haley did mention people talking behind your back when you get up from the table, and that is exactly what we saw going on. So Sarah Hill, many of you have probably seen her face before. She is still in Monat, and she made a big rant going on about people leaving and how they're just not working hard enough, and essentially blames the people for the changes that they saw that they didn't like, which I find that really interesting because when she's talking to her audience, really her primary audience is probably other people in Monat. So when she's blaming these people who just left, she's effectively pointing the finger at her entire audience of Monat reps. But I will play that video here now, and of course we're going to react to it. Duh.
Do you guys have a spot in your house that you go to where it's quiet and no one can hear you? Like, if you have to have important conversations, or if you just have to, I don't know, cry or just get your thoughts out. I'm sure you do. And for some of you, it's probably the same as me, and it is your closet. So that's where I'm sitting, in my closet, because I have so many thoughts running through my head, and it's very easy to get overwhelmed with everything going on. So we're just gonna kind of like do some housekeeping, like some things I want to share with you guys, because I haven't had the time to do it until now. Generally speaking, I'm a homebody. I like to be home a lot, but I've had a lot of back-to-back trips. I think that I'm I'm only home like a few days in April. And I had a lot of trips in March, and I have London coming up in May, and then we're taking our big family trip to France in June. So there's been so much going on that I'm just behind in everything. I'm behind in work. I'm behind in getting my taxes done. And then there was this curveball thrown at me a couple weeks ago that I wasn't expecting, that kind of just created a lot of chaos, not just in my life, but in the lives of a lot of other people. And so I've been trying to manage it the best I can as a business owner, as someone who is managing a very large team of people. So I'm going to start with a business tip for anyone who is running a business, starting a business, multiple businesses, managing people. Maybe you're a leader or a mentor. My number one business tip to anyone who is in that role is that you cannot let your emotions drive your decisions as it relates to your business. And that's a hard thing for women, especially because we are emotional beings, which is great. But when you let your emotions make your business decisions, things can start to get really ugly, really messy. And it's a bunch of chaos that doesn't have to happen. It's not necessary. And when you don't think like a business owner and instead you lead with your emotions, it's a really bad idea. Okay. Let's talk about contracts. Okay. I have a contract in place for my photography clients. I have a contract in place for people who rent my photography studio. Anytime I work with a company, let's say as an influencer or something, they have you sign a contract, what you're agreeing to do. You even sign a contract on TikTok Shop. So like if you ask for a free sample before they send it, you have to agree to post about it or whatever. In Monate, when you sign up as a market partner or even as a customer, you sign a contract. And it is to protect the interest of the company, but also to protect you as well. So when I have people who rent my studio, they sign a contract to protect me and to protect them. And we are all responsible for what we've agreed to on the dotted line, right? Let's make it really easy. You decide you want to buy a car. So you go to the car dealership and you say, I want this car. And then you sign a contract with the bank. And the bank says, okay, here's the deal. You're going to pay X amount of dollars every month for this many months for the car. You're signing on the dotted line. You're agreeing to that. If you don't do that, we're going to take the car away. And you say, okay, so you sign it. 6 months later, you decide, you know what? I just don't want to pay for the car anymore. But I still want to drive the car. I still want to call the car mine. But you're not paying for the car anymore. You've not held up your end of the bargain. You sign on the dotted line that you're going to pay for the car every month. You stop doing that. They take the car away. So you decide to go to social media and you're going to play victim. How dare the bank repossess my vehicle? I don't deserve that. I'm a victim of this horrible bank that took my car. Well, why did they take the car? Because you breached your contract. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You breach your contract, you don't hold up your end of the bargain, they're going to take your car, they're going to take your house, they're going to terminate you and your business. You don't work there anymore.
They're not terminating you and your business, they are terminating you from their business. Keywords here, because you don't own your Monate business at all, clearly.
You're not a victim. You made your own bed. And when you take your emotions out of it and just see it for what it is, that is what I'm hoping for all of you in your business. Stop making it an emotional thing. It's not an emotional thing.
I love what she says, stop making it an emotional thing. But I mean, first of all, I will say, I agree that, yeah, if you break the contract, you will get fired. That's just kind of how it works. But it would still be very difficult for these people who are in Monate to be told the entire time it's their own business and then just dropped without a warning. And like Angela said in her post, She's a single mother, so losing your entire income is scary. No matter if you set yourself up for that or not, it still sucks. So I think it's fair to be emotional even if the repercussion is sort of what's expected given what you did. It's also funny to me that she says take the emotions out of it, but yet she seems so smug and like so irritated by this whole thing. And I'm sure she is, because so many people in Monate are leaving and jumping ship to Oliveda because of the changes to the compensation plan and the ingredients that Monate is doing. And ultimately that probably affects Sarah's bottom line as well. I would assume if everyone is leaving and a lot of people in her downline could be leaving too, that will impact her.
And that's like it. That's like the whole story. Back when I was working as a nurse, if I just stopped showing up to the hospital on the days I was scheduled to work, I'm not going to get paid for that shift. And I'll probably lose my job if I just don't go. And that doesn't make me a victim. That means I made a conscious decision to stop showing up. And now I have to deal with the consequences of that choice. And that's it. That's very black and white. I usually see the world in gray. But when you stop doing a job, you're not entitled to income, and you're not entitled to keep that job. And you're not a victim if they decide to terminate you for breach of contract. That's what they should do. And that is not emotional. It's just business. And my last business tip for this afternoon before I go get some other stuff done around this house. Did you hear that? Be very careful who you surround yourself with in business. If you want to do better, surround yourself with people who are doing better than you. There are so many people doing better than me. I couldn't even count on both hands. That's who I want to surround myself with when it comes to work. Because you will become like the people you surround yourself with, whether you realize it or not. Sometimes it's very subconscious. You've probably seen it in the circles that your kids run around with. I can see the best in my kids and the worst in my kids by who they choose to surround themselves with. So if you are self-employed, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're working alone or with a team, be very careful who you allow in your ear. Consider the source, consider the motive, and just really edit that circle of people, because it will make or break you in business. My husband makes fun of me because I love this movie, but have you ever seen the movie The Guardian? With Kevin Costner and Ashton Kutcher. It's about like Coast Guard. And, you know, they talk about the drowning victim, right? When someone's drowning, they'll grab onto whoever they can and end up like pushing them underwater, that survival instinct, right, to survive. And there's a scene in that movie where the guy is drowning and panicking and trying to pull the rescue swimmer down. The rescue swimmer has to punch him in the nose, bust his nose up to disarm him so he can save his life. And what I see a lot lately is people, misery loves company, right? And people who are struggling aren't looking to people who are succeeding as inspiration. They're looking for other people that are struggling so that we can talk about how we're all victims together. And it's just never going to benefit you. If you feel like you're drowning, you're not going to look over the guy who's drowning next to you and be like, cool, let's drown together. That just doesn't make sense. So edit your circle. Who are you letting in your ear? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Is it a group of people who are just, all they want to do is cause chaos and division and drama and talk badly about other people? Or are they talking about business and life and impact and passion and service of others? Who are you letting in?
The dogs are going crazy. I don't have dogs. I meant in her video. Anyways.
What are you listening to? Who are the people you surround yourself with? Edit your circle. It'll be painful, but it'll also bring a lot of clarity. So, that's it. That's all I got.
I want to know how many dogs she has. That was a lot of barking. But anyways, sorry if you can hear the siren. I do get what she's saying about editing your circle, and I do agree, like, to some extent, the people you have around you it does matter, and it's important for your mindset, your mental well-being, to surround yourself with people who are uplifting and not people who are doing the opposite of uplifting you. But I also find it interesting that this example is being used when the conversation is about people not succeeding in Monat anymore. And she's essentially saying, well, if they don't find that these changes work for them, changes that are worse, like the compensation plan getting worse and the ingredients getting worse, she's basically saying, cut those people who are saying that stuff out of your circle. So essentially create an echo chamber of people who only like what we're doing, and you'll be successful, when that is often not a good strategy at all. And I don't think that it's a valid thing to do, to just ignore and cut out everyone who rightfully has concerns over changes that are being made that they don't align with. I'm kind of reading into it a little bit, but that's what we do here. So, and then she posts the clip from The Guardian. I'm not going to play it here because I'm sure that I will get copyrighted for using that. But she wrote, now obviously an actual drowning person is a victim, but let's look at this from a business perspective. If someone has made a series of bad business decisions and is now dealing with the fallout from their own choices, they're drowning. A drowning person isn't focused on helping others. They're only focused on saving themselves. So self-preservation. It doesn't matter who they take down, they'll try to do it. And this is what I've been seeing on social media. A bunch of people who don't want to deal with the consequences of their own bad but conscious business choices, and while they're going under, they're trying to take down as many people as they can with them, creating lies, false narratives, and the people who feed on drama are believing it, feeding right into it. You're watching their stories, gossiping, spreading lies, not taking into account the motive or the source. Stop watching it, stop talking about it. There's probably plenty of work you could be doing. So again, don't worry about what people are saying. Don't worry about people who are bringing up valid concerns about the company. Put your head down and work for this company more, and you'll succeed. This scene though, so many of y'all are allowing certain people to take you down with them when you should be smacking them in the face to wake them up. Personally, I'm so grateful for people who have metaphorically punched me in the nose when I needed a wake-up call. They did it because they loved me, saw my potential, and had my back. Tough love is love. To her point that people made a bunch of bad decisions and are drowning and trying to take others down, yes, they did make a poor decision. If they didn't want to be let go of Monat, they shouldn't have broke the terms of services. Like, that's definitely true. They are bringing people from Monat over to Oliveda. That's what's happening. So obviously it does not benefit Sarah if people are seeing that type of content, because they may then also decide to jump ship, switch MLMs. You're not technically allowed to cross recruit, but if they see it, quit and then join the other one, I don't know what Monat can do to stop them. So I personally think that this is less so about the drama and gossip, and more so Sarah saying, don't listen to those people, ignore them, block them, and just work for Monat, because that way people won't be leaving. That's just my opinion, but that's kind of what it seems like to me. And then shortly after this, Sarah went on another rant, because despite taking emotion out of it, she's clearly very emotional about the entire situation. This one is more about people consuming the drama and gossip content as opposed to working the business. So I'll play that here now, and of course we're going to react to that as well.
Okay, I'm going to piggyback off that post my friend Lindsay made about creation over consumption. This is the problem I'm seeing in my industry right now. And it's not just people in sales, influencing, direct sales. It's also people in photography, people who are selling guides. Whatever you're doing, if you're making money on social media, the biggest problem that I'm seeing, other than your own mindset, is you are consuming 100 times the amount of content you should be. And you're focused on consumption over your own creation. I have people in my DMs all day long. Did you see what so-and-so is saying? Well, what about this that this person's saying? Did you see what she's doing? Did you see this reel? Did you see this story? Did you see her TikTok? Did you see her Instagram? Did you see her live? Did you see what she was saying about you on her live video? My question to you is this. How much creation did you do today? How many events did you host? How many events did you plan? How many conversations did you have? How much content did you create? How many times did you go live? What are you doing for your business today? Or are you just sitting around talking shit or watching someone else talk shit? And then you're going to blame the company or the economy or your upline or your downline or this girl who's more successful, because you're consuming that content at a massive rate.
I love how she calls it talking shit, but again, there are valid concerns. If the ingredients are changing to include things that they were advertising for years and years that these products are better for not having, that is a valid thing to question. anyone should question that. And on top of that, the compensation plan changing and their paychecks going down, 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 despite the same amount of work being given. But of course, to Sarah, that's just talking shit and you're just consuming the wrong content instead of making your own content. And now I do agree with her as someone who creates content for a living. I do get what she's saying, and in a different context, this wouldn't be bad advice. I find I'm more creative when I'm not constantly watching people's content just in general, because then it feels like mine's not good enough or that everything's been done, that other people are doing it better. Whereas if you don't look at that and you just kind of make what you want to make, chances are you'll feel a lot more creative and you'll feel a lot more happy with the result that you get because you were not comparing yourself. But that's completely not what she's talking about here. She is using that advice but twisting it in a way to say that you are wrong for consuming the content of people who are having similar experiences as you, and I just wholeheartedly do not agree with that. I think if the company is changing things in a bad way, it is understandable, and also I would encourage people in the company to talk about that with each other because it's important. This is how they make their money. It is their job. And I mean, I work a traditional retail job on top of what I do here on YouTube and stuff. If all of a sudden I went to work and everything was changed and my pay was cut in half and everything we sold was different, I would question that. And I think that would be valid. And I would say that it would be encouraged for the employees to get together and talk about what the heck is going on. This is really no different, but of course Sarah doesn't like it because people are seeing things that are making them question Monat and making them question if they want to shop with Monat or be employed with Monat, and that is valid, but to her that is a bad thing, of course, because that will impact how much money she makes from the company.
And people come to me all the time and say, it's not working. The company isn't doing XYZ for me. This isn't working anymore. My first question to them is always, tell me what you're doing. Give me the list of the things that you've been doing. Stop blaming it on everyone else or saying that her content is influencing your decision on how you show up. But you haven't shown up for your business in 2.5 years. Years! You want to talk about what she's saying on a live video? Tell me what you said on a live video to move the needle in the right direction for your business. So when you hear a business mentor say creation over consumption, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I also like the translation on the side. This was uploaded by an account called Not Your Hun. I will link it down below. And they wrote the purple text that's shown in the video on their YouTube channel. Translation, echo chamber over critical thinking. Exactly. I'm also wondering who the you haven't created content in 2 years is about, because a lot of this was sparked by Angela leaving and there was a whole bunch of blowout because of that, because obviously she has been quite vocal about the issues. But she's definitely created content in 2 years, so I'm not quite sure who that's about, but anyway.
All these people out here are waiting for other people to serve them or consuming content from people that they feel is serving them, when that promise that you've made to serve others, you've not done in a year or two. You've been too busy consuming. You know what I'm saying? Going on a Zoom call is consumption. It's not creation.
That's confusing me too. Going in a Zoom call is consumption, not creation. So basically, skip out on all the trainings you're told that you get as part of being a market partner, but yet she probably hosts Zoom calls too. Skip out on the trainings, skip out on the conversations, skip out on the community that you are advertised as one of the benefits of the job is the community. You're supposed to just bypass all of that now and just keep creating content on your own. I don't even get that. I don't get how the things that you are advertised as the benefits of this company are now the exact things that you are supposed to avoid, and they're the exact reasons that you're failing. Pick a side.
Watching someone else's live where she's talking shit about this company so she can promote a new company, that's not creation, that's consumption. Your business is failing because you failed your business. You didn't create enough. You consumed so much that you've done nothing at all. Let's look at this from the perspective of a photographer. You are a photographer in your town. Client sessions are now few and far between. You're not booking that many. All you're doing is looking at other people's work, consuming their content. What are they doing? How are they booking clients? And you spend hours with this obsession over consumption instead of doing free shoots for marketing, getting new headshots done. Maybe you need to revamp your website. Maybe you need to start offering some online guides. Maybe you need to start selling some presets, working on that. But no, all that time you could use to move the needle forward in your business, you're just looking at what other people are doing and you are wasting your time. And then You say the reason you quit is because it took too much of your time and you're missing out on time with your family. That's because you wouldn't turn off the show and actually get to work.
Just what this text here says, but all the Monate market partners do is talk about time freedom. They're constantly using that, again, as a benefit that you get with this company when you join. Time freedom, time spent with your family. They specifically target mothers who want to be at home with their kids, saying you have all the time with your kids and your family that you want. You only have to work a couple hours a day, blah, blah, blah. But yet now, that's the reason you're failing. Pick a side, because that is... If I was someone following her who joined because of the freedom and time that I would get with my family, I would seriously be questioning things if she's going on all these rants saying, don't consume content of people who left. You're failing because you're not working hard enough. You're failing because you're spending time with your family. You're failing because you're on Zoom calls. All the things that you told me to do, that's why I'm failing. That's insane.
When people start working with me, all I ask for and all they really need is 1 hour of intentional work a day. 1 hour. You can do an event in an hour. You can do a live that takes 5 minutes. That's 5 minutes out of the 60 of that hour. Creating content, you can create so much content in an hour, it's sick. You can create enough reels for an entire month in 1 hour. 1 hour a day. You want to start making $500 a week, $1,000 a week?
I would love to know though how to do a month worth of reels in an hour of work, because if that is the case, I need to be doing that. I'm terrible at making Instagram and TikTok content.
$5,000 a week, $10,000 a week? It starts with 1 hour of focused work a day. But instead, people are consuming 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day and not creating anything. And then they quit because they're so overwhelmed with consumption, not creation. So no, I didn't see her live. No, I don't care about her posts. No, I don't care that she's talking shit. You know why? Because I'm creating.
Also, it's so funny to me how she's saying, no, I didn't see the live. No, I don't care that she's talking shit. No, I didn't see that she's talking shit. Clearly you did. Like, don't lie. You clearly saw it. If you have all this to say, you saw it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That would be like me saying, I didn't see Sarah Hill talking about this. Yes, I did. I'm reacting to it. Of course I saw it. But she will never say that because she has to put herself on a pedestal that is above the rest of them and say that she's above it all. Because she's doing so well. She's so successful that she doesn't see it. If you are doing so well and having so much fun creating, why even talk about this? That's what I want to know. Why talk about it?
If you're offended, if this hit a nerve, if you're pissed off, I'm glad. I'm happy for that. Because that tells me that I've hit a nerve. And that tells me that I'm right about something. And I know I'm right. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I'm good at what I do. I'm an expert at what I do. I know I'm right. So if you're pissed off, I'm glad, because maybe that's going to kick you into action of creation over consumption. And now maybe when I say creation over consumption, you really know what that means. So yeah, happy Monday.
Okay, so that's the end of that rant. A couple last little points. I sort of interrupted a couple times already to say what I wanted to say. Her saying, if you're pissed off, it means I'm right, is definitely so far from the truth. Obviously, I am not a huge fan of Angela. She shares a lot of views that I find really not nice. But I will say she's not wrong for questioning the ingredients and the changes that have been made to the company, specifically the ingredients, which is something that she has said has always been important to her. Clean products with ingredients that used to be not included, now being included without being told about those changes. I think she was right to question that. And so for Sarah to say, people are just pissed off because I'm right. If you're mad, it's because I'm right. No, answer what people want to know then. Why did the ingredients change? Why is that okay without telling any of them? Because none of the market partners were informed about that. The changes just sort of started happening, and a lot of them realized it by comparing new product that they received to old product that they still had and looking at the ingredient list between the two. And I wish she would actually discuss those changes to things like the compensation plan and the ingredients, the issues that a lot of people are having, instead of basically saying if you have an issue, you're consuming the wrong content. It's so interesting to me how when we see big shifts like this out of companies, they all seem to go to the same place. First, it was the WFAB girls going over to like cryptocurrency and like that whole thing. And now it is the more Christian influencer side, all switching to a different clean beauty brand. And then the last video I have here is another ex-Monate rep talking about the red flags of the company. And this I felt like was very telling.
I only get 3. Okay, let me try and... First was selling on Amazon. Okay, that was the first red flag to me from a consumer standpoint as well as a distributor standpoint. I know there was a little revenue Amazon pool being paid out. I feel like that probably has gone or is going to go about as well as the founder's share pay. That was the first red flag to me.
Okay, totally agree. I'm just going to break it down by the red flags that she lists. 100% though, them selling on Amazon seems so insane. Not only, like the text said here, this lets them skip the middleman and just it lets customers go above the market partners entirely and just order the products, which completely screws over the market partners. And who isn't going to buy from Amazon? You get 2 days shipping, get the product super quick, you don't have to go through someone. It just seems so much easier. So it's a huge slap in the face because the market partners will be left out of that equation entirely. Also, to me, it says a lot about how much money they're making, and she's going to speak to that a little bit as well. I feel like for Monat to sell on Amazon, they have to be looking for quite a bit more money, and maybe they're just not doing as well.
That no longer is it exclusive, and also that they were really in need of extra revenue throwing it up on Amazon. Something else was Stuart's departure, okay? I don't want to talk about that too much. I adore that man. The day that email came out, I was very much removed from the business side of things already, but it felt so abrupt.
So as you can read in the text here, I did not know who Stuart was or like what the significance of that specific person leaving is, but it says a lot of people who have left said Monat isn't religious enough anymore. Stuart was a big part of the religious aspect of Monat.
It just felt like a red flag. That's all I'm going to say about that. It just felt like a red flag. And then number 3, and then I guess my third has to be my experience and change with the products and concern with the ingredients, because if it hadn't been for that, I would have kept my mouth shut. Okay, if it hadn't been for that, that's what tipped me over the edge, because I've said this already. I was willing to champion and happy to champion Monat my whole life. My family, the people I love most in my entire life, are on the products, or were. I have been sharing them for over 5 years. So for my experience with the products to start changing, for me to have VIPs who are starting to text me saying, hey, like my scalp's itchy, what do I do? Market partners, my hair is declining, what's going on? And for me to just be like, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure it out myself, only to finally figure it out. That had to be my final red flag, although there are more. Fourth one, let me just add 4.
Definitely agree that not only is it frustrating to have a product that you love completely change that you are supposed to be promoting, but also to constantly have people messaging you when you sold them these products saying, I'm having adverse reactions all of a sudden, the products aren't working like they used to, what's going on? And you don't know because you were kept in the dark about it. That looks bad on the market partners, not so much the company, because when you are buying your product through someone, like from a customer standpoint, you are relying on them to give you the best of the best. You're relying on them to have all the knowledge. You want answers from the person you bought it from, which is valid. So as a market partner, I can only understand how frustrating it would be to have your customers come to you saying, these products suck now, what's going on? My scalp is burning, I'm having hair loss, things like that. And you would feel a sense of personal responsibility. Not to say they are responsible, because everyone should do their own research and buy what they want to buy. But when you've gone on promoting something for so long and you're kept in the dark about the ingredients changing, that does suck, and that would be really difficult to navigate.
Okay, so let me just again say that this is my personal opinion. This is allegedly, this is my personal opinion. From what I've seen, this is my personal observation. Company revenue 2021 to 2022 we were told that it was like around $800 million, okay? Woohoo! That was like a big deal. Recently, I have seen and heard that on a call, the company leader has said that it's a $200 million in revenue. That's not home. $200 million. I'm assuming, I was not on the call, the whole call, I'm assuming that was in reference to 2023. If that's the case, that's a $600 million drop in revenue. If that was in reference to what 2024 has done so far, I will be shocked and just say, okay, we'll see how that goes. But if not, again, if that's 2023, then that means that out of that $200 million in revenue, half of that is cut in half, 50% paid out to market partners. That only leaves $100 million for product manufacturing, for office space rentals, for paying the entirety of the corporate team, etc., etc., etc. Any debt, any loans, whatever. I don't know all those details. I am just making a guess. But that seems not great to me. And I just feel like, based on the behavior that I'm seeing from so many of the top earners, based on the adjustments in formula quality, based on the changes in the comp plan, based on the continual downslope of pretty much everything that I can lay my eyes on, I think the ship is sink in.
Hearing all that from someone who was recently in the company and decided to jump ship also to Oliveda, it is very telling. And I would assume she still has a lot of people who are in the business following her. So I think a lot of these people speaking out, we will start to see even more and more people jump ship from Monat to Oliveda or just quitting Monat altogether. Wouldn't be surprised if a few more big creators do the same. And also, I'm sure there will be a ton of more smaller creators and market partners who don't have large social media followings, maybe aren't even on social media, who are already switching over or are going to be making the switch based on all the discourse that they're hearing. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out going forward. I would love to see if even more top leaders end up leaving Monat and just sort of the reaction and follow because of that. But yeah, let me know what you thought about all of this down below. That's pretty well all I have to cover, and links to my social media and things like that will be in the description as well. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.